Tony, thanks for sitting here with us. When were you president of the New England section?
1980, 81, and 82.
Great, great. At the time, in obviously the early 80s, what were the pressing issues of your time as president?
Well, several goes right back to money. I think when I became president, we had 340 members of the section, so dues weren't where they should be. That was a pressing problem. Tournaments always, and I'm sure to this day, it's a problem with our guys who want to play.
Sure.
But I really had it easy because, you know, I think I followed Paul Harney and Billy Flynn. And we were actually the first three presidents other than Boda and Mahan, who were 30 years. And when I first came to the section, we had a big battle between the old regime and the new guys coming in. And the reason we picked Paul Harney is he had a name and we felt that he would, you know, definitely be elected. And so they did a lot of the legwork, and Billy was great to follow, and then Dick Hanscom was after him. So I was handed pretty much a job or more of a figurehead than trying to do anything to help the section. And but by that time, we think 1970, they brought George Weems in, who did a fabulous job for us. And I'm trying to think, it was George, Susan Hudson, Al Raymond and his wife Kay, who did the starting on the tees, yeah. And Buddy Young was the guy who did all the rules for us. But we had a couple of things. In those days, we had a lot of clubs, especially up north, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, that didn't have golf pros. So one of our goals was to try to get golf pros in there, and sure. I was lucky because we had Les Bond on the board at the time, and Les did a fabulous job trying to fill that employment. It was a great employment guy, and we went around to all the clubs, and we always felt it was good to have a third guy in there in the negotiations. Even if you had a pro and you had problems, you know, that's better to have, instead of two guys butting heads, have someone come in. And Les helped me tremendously on that. So I got a lot of credit for things that I really didn't do. That, you know, Les was one of the ringleaders in that. One of the other things, we wanted to expand the tournaments that we offered to the pros, because we didn't have a real big, I think we did about $250 or $240 or $50,000 in tournaments, which doesn't sound like a lot today, but then it was a big increase sure. in what we had. And we sat down as a board and we came up with a plan to approach a bunch of clubs to see if once every 10 years they would host a tournament for the New England PGA. And we were pretty successful in getting a lot of clubs to do that. So that was a big problem. Education was a pressing problem. A lot of guys just refused to go to the seminars. And again, Les was sort of the ringleader in that. So I would guess that. So I think all my years in the New England PGA, one of the biggest problems has always been tournaments. You're going to hear that forever. Yeah. And so I think that was one of our pressing problems, and also income, because with 300, what do we have, 600 members now, 600, 700, I don't know.
Just 1,000.
Yeah,
okay.
we're at 1,000.
So we had 340. So you can imagine what the income was
sure.
for dues. So that was one of our big problems.
What accomplishments are you most proud of, or during your presidency?
I think increasing not only we go back to tournaments, not only increasing the number of tournaments, increasing the prize money, getting better venues to play our tournaments, and in education, I think Les did a great job. We had some really, really good guys in this section who helped us. Danny Franzoso, for instance, was a tremendous merchandiser, so he was really helpful in that respect. And I had a good board at the time, and I think I guess the thing I'm most proud of in those days, we really had a disconnect between Massachusetts and the rest of it. Rhode Island, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire really felt they weren't being represented by the New England PGA, and I think we did a good job in closing that gap where we got guys that we had a lot of tournament, or a lot of meetings where we told people, please from the floor, tell us what you like, what you don't like, and you're not gonna hurt my feelings, you know, lay it out.
You kept it inclusive.
Yes, and I think that thing changed a lot, I think, for the better.
What, obviously, talking about the inclusiveness and bringing everyone together, what's your most memorable, or what is your favorite part about being the president of the New England section?
Well, a lot of just, number one, is the interaction between all the guys. I mean, you know, we had a great bunch of guys. I became very, very close to and very friendly. Actually, when I was really pushed into that position by George Williams. George really was the kind of guy that gave me that little shove, because at that time I was more of a player than I was anything else. And so I think just that interaction, it helped me grow professionally. There's no question about that. And so I think just being around those guys is what makes me feel good about what we've done and all the time I was president.
Well, Tony, thank you from the New England section.
I would like to add one other thing.
Absolutely, please.
For years, I would go to the annual meetings, and we had the Met section, and when they would get the mic, the first thing they would say was, Bob Joyce, Met section, the section of the players. And Billy Ray Mitchell, I'm from the Billy Ray Mitchell Met section, where I'm the section of the players. And I've got this book with me, and one of the things that gives me the most pleasure is they had the Northeastern PGA Team Championship, Met section, Connecticut, and New England. And yeah, we beat their ass. We beat them by 9 points. And we really had some great players on that team. You know, we had Paul Parajakis, Barkhouse, Bailey, Red Smith, who never played to his potential, tremendous player. David Murad, Jay Dolan. And we beat them by 9 points. So the next annual meeting that I went to, I got up and said, Tony Morosco, New England section, home of the new players.
Love it.
So,
I love it.
It sounds petty, but it gave me such satisfaction to say, hey, yeah, you guys can play, but we got a lot of guys up here can play too.
Right. So it sounds like, listening to you, you're very proud of your section, and
I'm tremendously proud of this. I think we got the best section going. There's no question about it. And when I think of the growth of the section, when I said from 240, 250 members to 1,000 members, says a lot. And I think a lot of that has to go back to what Les Bond did.
Sure. I
really do, because I went out to clubs that would never had a golf pro, and sit down and tell him the value of having a golf professional. And is Les going to be here tonight? No, that's too bad, because he did a lot. He really did. And I said I had a good team. You know, I had the board at that time was fantastic, and you didn't have to ask the guys; they had volunteered to do things. So that was great.
Well, the New England section, home of the players. So
Yeah,
thank you, Tony, very much for coming in.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.